The rabbit hole has no bottom. Team huddle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Team Jaguar. How y'all doing today? You know I open up every video with a greeting. How everybody doing? Let me hear you say it. Good. Good. That's the only answer I would ever want to hear. We are doing good. We are victorious. I just want to exalt each and every one of you today. Come and get your daily pill from left side of the brain. This is left side of the brain. Some of you new to the channel. I got to cover the preliminaries before we go in today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We are a little over 700 now. That's good. We're getting closer and closer to that 1K. The channel was removed, but we had a little setback for a major comeback. We on the roll. We doing good. I see people subscribing to the Instagram. We're closer to that 200 number, and then when we reach 200 on Instagram, we're gonna go live from Instagram. Without further ado, let's get into today's topic. And I want to tell y'all, man, like when I'm out during the day, right? Like I had to work today and everything. And I was driving, I had went to get lunch, right? And I never know when I'm going to do these videos. You know what I'm saying? I have to be compelled. The spirit has to give it to me. And it did. It gave it to me today. And last night, you know, I was pondering on some things. So I want to share some of those things with you. The topic I chose today is the rabbit hole has no bottom. Now, I've been thinking about a lot of stuff, and one of the things I've been thinking about is the direction of this channel and the overall meaning of everything that we are doing. And if I sound a little nasal right now, it's because I'm getting over a nasal congestion. I was sleeping with the AC in my house. So I've been thinking, like, what is the overall direction of this channel? Like, where am I trying to take this? And that's when the title came to me, that the rabbit hole has no bottom. And I thought about it. You know how I always say that the organic portal realm is like, well, you know how I say women control the atmosphere? Okay, something else came to me. The rabbit hole is symbolic to the portal, the vagina. You see, it has no bottom. When you look at it, now if y'all can't take it, and if you getting touchy and sensitive, don't even watch, because what I'm about to say, a lot of people will say, "Oh, you bashing," or it's a lot of immature people, man. It's time to grow up. You know what I'm saying? This is just information. Y'all stop getting so touchy and in your feelings, man. I talk about everybody, men, women. This is just what we're going to have to cover today. And you know how women have a vagina, right? That's a hole, okay? If you put every vagina hole side by side, that would just create one big black hole. The rabbit hole has no bottom. And what I'm saying is, women are the entry point into this world, okay? And just like I say, like we've been having children on this planet. Let me sit down because I'm about to get into this. We've been having children on this planet for many, many, many years. I don't even know how many years. But I know it has to be close to 10,000 years or more. People have been having children on this planet. And has it changed anything? And when I thought about it, that's a metaphor in itself when I'm speaking about the rabbit hole has no bottom. Even birth birth in life is down here. It takes place in a rabbit hole. Okay? Now watch this. Just how our life mirrors the world around us. Because I always say, like the last video, I spoke about water. Okay? But I'm going to get more into that as well. Okay? Just how our life mirrors, or our collective lives, and I'm speaking about the birth and life cycle, is just like the questions that we have. Questions are born and the question is answered. The question being born represents birth. You had to ponder about it. Then, as you was pondering about the question, it became more complex. It added elements to the question. Just like a baby in the womb, it starts at a fetus stage and it develops eyes, ears, and it becomes more complex. So does our questions. So what I'm getting at is everything reflects the rabbit hole. Okay? The endless birth and death cycle with no end to it. It seems like it has no end goal. Just like I was thinking about this channel. What's the end goal? What's the overall directive? Okay? Because we only have one life in this world, in this body. You see what I mean? And what I'm saying is the rabbit hole is like the question and the answer. The answer is like death. Is like the death of the question, because once you answer a question, you move on to the next question. Once the problem is solved, there's no need to keep pondering on the same question. You get what I'm saying? And it's just like this life. Like once I do a video and I speak about something, the problem is already solved. But it's like you go down a rabbit hole, and the rabbit hole has endless amounts of tunnels. But the tunnels, they lead to another room, which represents a womb. You get it? A room in an underground cavern is like a cavity. And think about a woman's body. She gives birth to children. And what is that? That's like a cavity, an empty space. And you go into that room in a rabbit hole, deeper in the cavern, deeper underground, and every tunnel there's another question. And then once you figure that question out, you go on to the next room, and then a question forms in that room. You see what I mean? And you can get stuck in a cycle of questions and answers. Q&A. You get stuck in a cycle of Q&A. You see? And this is the thing. Does one sit and make purpose question and answers? Now, one may say, if you have a mind like myself, a creative mind, you always going to be questioning and looking for answers. It's like a never-ending search. But then I thought about it in this regard. Do you continue to ask questions, or does a point come when you just stop trying to figure it out? Now, this what was given to me in my meditation. I did a meditation yesterday. I meditate, literally. And I emptied my mind, and yet and still I noticed that even in my empty mind state, I still had background questions arising from my subconscious mind that I couldn't quiet down. And it was like my frontal lobe brain, it wasn't speaking to the questions that was being asked. My brain or my mind in the background was giving me answers to the question, but yet at the same time, I was focused. I just emptied my mind and let what happened in the background of my mind, I just let it happen. So then it was given to me in my meditation. It said, stop trying to figure it out. And it said, when you try to figure it out, you will never figure it out. And as soon as it gave me that message, my eyes opened up. I completed my meditation and my eyes opened up. It's like a breath of fresh air came over me, and I was like, wow, my eyes just opened up. And it was beautiful, man. It was a beautiful feeling. I had did some exercise before I had went into meditation also. And I got up out of meditation and I was just saying to myself, I was like, you know what? I was like, that's right. I said, what was given to me was right. And I coupled it with this right here. Another thought came to me and it said, language was not created for God. You see, and mind you, when I get inspiration and when I be channeling information and when it's given to me in like pieces of the puzzle. And if I try to ponder on it too much, I kind of lose the information. So I take it in one bit at a time, and I build upon each block of information that I was given. And it said to me that language is not the communication of God. God resides in total silence. And it said to me, if you want to communicate with God or the Most High, you have to come to the supreme force, the supreme being, in complete silence. Think about it. You know, even I always question, like when you read the Bible and it says that in the beginning God created the heavens and earth, and it says that, and God said, let there be. I thought about it. God didn't use any words. You see what I'm saying? Because the all-knowing already knows everything. See, words are for lesser beings who don't communicate through telepathy. So they would need words. The all-knowing, the omniscient, the omnipotent God of the universe needs no words. And that's why I say to y'all sometimes that the spirit communicates through everything. It can communicate through words, but it can also communicate through the trickling sound of water dripping out of a faucet. The deeper you get, the spirit can communicate through a billboard. You can be driving down the street and it can communicate through a billboard. That has happened to me so many times. It can communicate through a synchronicity. Like you might be pondering about something, and the very thing you ponder about, it might come across to you in the form of something that somebody else is doing, or somebody else's conversation in the background, and they may say something, and you might be like, you know what? That was just what I was thinking. That's the message the spirit gave me. Because everything is working together in unison, whether we know it or not. That's why you gotta live and let be. You see what I'm saying? It's not about forcing anything. Okay? You know, and it was somebody on this channel one time, and they said in the comment section, they was like, if it's not practical, it's not useful. And ever since I read that comment, I started even saying that, you know what, that person was right. And if y'all notice, I be saying now, I forget the person who commented that, but ever since I read that, I started putting in my videos, I started saying practicality, because it's true. That's why every video that I do, I try to make it useful. Like this video right here is useful because what I'm saying is I'm teaching peace and tranquility. That's the ingredients for life, you see. And just like that, another thought came to me yesterday. I was thinking about pain, and I said to myself, you know how they say everything has an opposite? But guess what? Pleasure is not the opposite of pain. I'm gonna say that again. Pleasure is not the opposite of pain. Because, okay, you gotta say to yourself, what is pleasure? What is pleasure? And what is pain? Okay, pain is what we would identify as pain is suffering in the body. You can have like physical pains, you can have emotional pain and agony, but is that the same as you burning your hand on the stove? No, it's not. One is physical, but you're giving it the same word. You see what I'm saying? But we really know that it's not the same thing. That's why I say a lot of times words are limited in function. Words is not really the language of the Most High. I'm gonna say that again. Words that we use is not really the language of the Most High, because they limit it and they have different meanings, and sometimes you can get lost trying to pick a word to attach to something that you're trying to convey, because how we really feel, it goes beyond what we can express through words. And that's why I'm saying that pleasure is not the opposite of pain. You have different degrees of pain, different levels of what we may call pain, okay? And pleasure, I thought about it. I was like, okay, because I like to wrestle with stuff in my mind. And I said to myself, okay, if pain is da-da-da-da-da, all the things I just said, what is pleasure? Then I sat back, I said, pleasure? I said, if there was no such thing as pain, what would pleasure be? And I said to myself, have we even experienced pleasure yet? You get what I'm saying? Like, we've been living in this life, in this human body. You know, if there is something outside of this body, do we really know what pleasure is? That's what I'm saying. Because when we really, this is what I'm trying to say. Yesterday I had it like this. I'm trying to recollect what I was thinking about yesterday. If we really would experience pleasure, even what we call pleasure in this body, in this world, would be equal to pain. I know that's deep, I know that's powerful. At least it was for me. Because if there is something greater, the ecstasy, you know, it's so much ecstasy that's inside of your mind, that if our brain really just overloaded itself with the chemicals that it has within it, that gives us those feelings of euphoria and ecstasy, even when we went down to this level, we would be like, wow. We would feel like depressed almost. It's kind of like, thank you, Spirit. It's kind of like how they say people feel when they take a drug, and then when they go back to being normal, they go through what they call a downer, because the high that they was given, when they come back to this plane, it feels like depression almost. You get what I'm saying? And that's just with an artificial drug. Just imagine what it would be like. And I know this is speaking kind of beyond sight and sound, and it's kind of hypothetical, but this is just what I was pondering about. I mean, you can apply your own words to it in the comment section, whatever. We can discuss it or whatever, but this video is just about the rabbit hole. and things I was thinking about. Like, it goes so deep, man, that I just thought about that. I was like, pain, pleasure. It kind of blurred when I started thinking about it deeper and deeper. The lines between pain and pleasure, they were blurred almost. Because I was like, what is pleasure, man? Then I thought about it. I was like, pleasure that we are calling pleasure is having to do stuff. Somebody might say, well, pleasure is eating ice cream. Or pleasure is having sex, having an orgasm. Which you could say is pleasure. It's a physical pleasure. But, you know, I was just thinking about it like in a God concept way of pleasure. Like I said to myself, and I know I'm putting it together because I'm trying to recollect my thoughts from yesterday. I was saying to myself that pain really doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because, so if it doesn't exist, I was saying to myself yesterday, I was saying, if pain really doesn't exist, how could it be the opposite of pleasure? You see what I'm saying? Because it's like pain exists in this body. You pinch yourself, ouch. You touch a hot stove, ouch. But outside of the body, you see what I'm saying? It's like this body is just nerves. What gives us pain? Because we have nerves, right? Have you ever woke up and your hand was numb? You could have slept on your hand and it fell asleep and you couldn't feel anything in your hand? That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, the pain can be eliminated, but that which is real can never be eliminated. And as I kept thinking and thinking and thinking, it went even further. I said, because it can't be eliminated, it can't be real. I said, because God, He knows no pain, okay? And pain is just something which, you know, and I'm being quiet for a moment. You already know. Okay. And I thought about it. I said, I had to move, y'all. Y'all already know. Put in the comment section why I moved. If you already know and you've been following the channel. I want to see how many people have caught on to this channel. But yeah, pain is not a thing that God has to deal with. You know what I mean? Because being out of the body and being totally free, it's almost like you would be free from pain and pleasure. You would just be totally free. And I think the definition of total freedom is when you reach the level where you don't have to categorize feelings, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? When you reach the level where only one exists, where there can never be no opposite, like pain, pleasure, light, darkness. Y'all get what I'm saying? I know it's kind of confusing, but for those who got their antennas up, you can probably fill out what I'm saying. Like, you reach that oneness state where there is no need for opposites or anything. No need to categorize anything. No need for language. As I already mentioned, no need for words. The rabbit hole, you know, it goes to that level. You know what I'm saying? Where you don't need words to express yourself. And that's how I've gotten lately, man. Like, when I be out in places, I just be looking at stuff, just taking it in without having to say. I'll let y'all look at some women. I'll see. Okay, good. It's all women. Good. Yeah, you reach that level. Why everywhere I want to go now, it's like people crying, babies and stuff. I'm gonna sit right here, man. You reach that level of oneness, man. Give y'all a beautiful sight. You reach that level of oneness, man. That level of unity. Unity. When you bring the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain together as one. Where you're not trying to look at things and give it meaning. That's when you are free. Freedom is like a baby. A baby is taught the separation of things. That's why when babies are young, you have to tell it, this is dangerous, this is okay. Don't eat this, don't drink that. Because that, when you're doing that, what that represents, it represents the separation between the baby coming from that eternal state and being separated from that state and falling into this realm. And the baby, it doesn't know what happened to it. You know what I mean? The baby doesn't know. So that's why you teach it. Because you were programmed opposites. This is good, this is bad. You can't do this, you can't do that. The baby doesn't know that. Because it comes from a place of oneness. And that oneness was separated. It's symbolic to how a baby is separated from the mother by severing the umbilical cord. So in this sense, you can represent the mother as the oneness that that child once experienced. When the umbilical cord is separated, when it's cut, that's symbolic to right and wrong being created. Once it was severed, y'all get what I'm saying? Like once it was severed from the origin, it created a dichotomy. That's when you have good and bad and this and this. But really, the only thing that exists, like for instance, let's talk about light and darkness, right? All of this is pertaining to the rabbit hole. Let's talk about light and darkness, right? Now, I thought about it. Light is only necessary in a world where there has been a fragmentation. If I put you in a room that was completely dark and there was nothing in that room but yourself, and that was it, you had everything you needed, you wouldn't need any light. There was nothing for you to, it's nothing in that room for you to bump into. You got everything you need. You got food, you got water. Let's just say in a hypothetical. And what brought me to this was I was in my house and I was sitting on my couch. And I said to myself, I was like, what if I got up off this couch and went outside? And when I opened up the door, I realized that it was nothing out there. Everything, just imagine if you was like me. If I got up off my seat and went outside and opened the door and everything just vanished. Nobody was on the streets. Nobody was in the buildings. I thought about it. I said, I would feel like a complete, absolute fool for putting so much emphasis on this world, because everything that I gave meaning to, I would realize that it wasn't me giving it meaning. It would be everything that I went outside for in the first place, like that the people created. But if I go outside and they are no longer there, does that mean my meaning of existence disappear? It's almost as if living for others, basically, instead of just living for that oneness, that completeness. I thought about that. I was like, just imagine if I got up off my couch and everything that I was worried about, like going to a job, going to get gas. Just what if none of that stuff even existed anymore? You know what I'm saying? How would I feel, man, if I just got up and everything had just disappeared? Man, these demons are really trying to prevent me today. It's like everywhere I'm going, man. I even came, y'all see I went through the cut to get away from people, and it's now some people back in the woods camped out making noises and stuff. And it's just irritating noise too, because they're not talking about nothing. Damn these people, man. And their voices is irritating me. Shut the fuck up. Not talking about shit, man. Y'all probably can hear it. Somebody in the background. Yeah, so I hope I'm not confusing y'all and y'all keeping up with me. Like, just imagine you got off the couch. You open your blinds and there's nothing out there. You would be like, damn, then what was my purpose for all these years? What was I doing? What was me going to high school all about? What was me getting married all about? It's just me. You mean to tell me all along it's just been me? Look at that beautiful sun. Sun staring. This is Left Side of the Brain. Today's message is brought to you by that beautiful orb over there called the sun. You would say to yourself, like, what was all this about? Like, you mean I just wasted my time for all these years? I thought about it. Then I said to myself, okay, then what would be the purpose for light? I hope I'm not losing y'all. You gotta keep up with me. Then I thought about it. I was like, what would be the purpose of light then? Listen to what I'm about to say. Oh my God, this is a synchronicity too. Because as I'm talking, I was talking about light, and now we're looking at the sun going down. Let's talk about this right now. Okay. You remember how I said, what if I woke up one morning, went off my couch, went outside, and nothing was there? No people, no nothing. I was just in an empty world, and I realized that my whole life been wasted thinking I was doing something, thinking I was making a change, thinking I was doing this, thinking I was doing that. You know what? It would go back to the point that I made about language in the first place. I wouldn't even need words anymore. Because if I kept speaking the words that was programmed into me in this scenario that people instilled into me, I would still be living out the program even though they would be gone and dead. That means I wouldn't even need words no more. I would basically be like God, because I wouldn't need words. It would just be me. I'm not going to sit and use the English words that I was taught. I could make up my own words for that matter. I believe if something like that happened, your brain would forget all of that information because you wouldn't need words anymore. What would you need words for? And that's why I was saying to y'all earlier that language it's just an illusion. It's like, I don't want to go too far. Now, let me get back to my point before I lose it. The sun, right? I was talking about light. Okay? Now remember a few sentences back, I was talking about if light would be necessary. I was saying like light and darkness. Okay, think about that sun. Now imagine that sun coming up every morning is like representing me getting off the couch. The sun rising, the sun setting. Okay, the sun rises one morning, right? And nothing is here. No people. No nothing. What would be the need for light? You see what I'm saying? Now, if you take away light out of the equation, you're left with what? Just darkness. Okay? Because really, I'm just taking it back to the point of how everything, I'm just taking the police. Now the police want to be circling me. See what I'm saying, y'all? Everywhere I try to, fuck it. Let me go in this fucking corner then. Maybe they won't. And I know y'all think this is what Left Side of the Brain do. I'm out here by myself. Look, Y'all just get the video after I upload. I'm out here by myself. I don't give a fuck about these people, man. I'll be serious when I tell y'all this shit. Look where I'm about to sit. I'm about to sit right here. I'm about to sit right here and complete this video right here. Because I can't get nothing from them. What am I gonna get from them? Not shit. Now, the light, right? Imagine that light. The sun coming up with nobody here would be pointless. Be absolutely pointless. Right? And that's why darkness taught me what I'm telling you right now. I'm about to say something. I'm about to drop something heavy. You know what taught me this without words? Darkness taught me this. And I'm going to tell you the darkness that I'm talking about. I looked up in the night sky one night and I saw all of these little billions and billions of stars. I don't know how many stars we see when we look up at the night sky, but you know, you see the little dots, the stars, they shining. And I said to myself, what the darkness told me, it said, you see all these billions of stars, but even still, the darkness outshines the light. Because you got all these billions of stars out at night, but even still, they just outshine. They just in the background. They just in the foreground of the greater background of the darkness. You see what I'm saying? It's like the darkness still outshines the light. Because you think about it, when you leave out of this Earth's orbit, you just go into billions and billions and billions of miles of darkness, right? So even light itself, when we talking about light, we are really talking about darkness, dark light. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about dark light, man, because everything else is primitive. I'm not gonna say primitive because the word primitive, the root word for the word primitive would be prime. So I can't say the word primitive because prime numbers are what you build, you know, the rest of your numbers from. But everything outside of the rudimentary darkness is really unnecessary. So what I explained to y'all is all of these words. Basically, what I'm saying is, in a nutshell, the rabbit hole is darkness. It's darkness. The lessons that you learn are only as necessary as the amount of people you hang around. The more you leave society, the more you... All right, y'all. Gotta take a break. Hey, what's up? Soldiers, they come marching by. They'll find you now. They'll find you now. That's one thing about it. That's another thing though. Like, you're still gonna have these lessons, cause they gonna find you, man. You know how they found me? Just like animals have high senses of smell, right? Animals can smell blood. They can smell blood through the thick hide of a cow. They can smell that blood. And because they predatory, because they psychic vampires, they smell the fresh blood of a person like a left side of the brain. That's why they stay around you. You can try to get away from these people. You know how they say problems always seem to find me through a person? Because the only way you can get a problem is through people. They smelling you out. They smelling you out. That's why they don't want to release us. They want to keep us in this prison because they live off of us. Y'all know I always say that a mosquito cannot live without a host to suck blood from. That's why it seems like problems always come to find you. You can be meditating. You can be trying to fast. whatever. Always, that's just the life we live. We just got to get used to it and just try to alleviate it and balance it out the best we can. But that's just life. As long as we are in these bodies, we are under the manipulation of the organic portals. They manipulating the truth. They manipulating it. They the ones that's creating the problems. They the ones who created the very notion of philosophizing in the first place. Before the great falling away, there was no philosophizing. I'm not going to go into what the great falling away is, but those who have been following the channel, you have to go through my videos, go back, and you'll see what the great falling away is. If you're too lazy, I'm going to just give this assignment to somebody. Write in the comment section what I'm speaking about when I say the great falling away. And if this is your first time on this channel, you'll read what the followers say, and they are very good. A lot of them, I know the names of the people. They will describe to you what the great falling away is. I can't do everything. I can't upload the videos and make them and try to cover everything because time is limited. But yeah, there was no philosophizing before the time of the great falling away. Philosophizing and all of that, it came after. Even the rabbit hole itself was created after the time of the great falling away. You see, the rabbit hole is the result of separation. Separation from the child from the mother. Separation from the child from the original universe. Before the diverse, the split, the great falling away. That's when the quest for knowledge began. You see? Because when we was in our original state, we didn't have words. We were all knowing. We had everything like this. And then the separation came. And when the separation came, things divided. The elements divided. It turned to fire, water, air. What else? The mineral kingdom. The plant kingdom. Everything separated and went its own way. Everything basically went into rebellion. And it created its own thing. The plant kingdom wanted to do its own thing after it fell away from the unity. Then the plant kingdom created itself. It didn't want to be a part of. So it created the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the water, the fire, the elements. They all went their separate ways. But they came from one. You see what I'm saying? And with that separating, we started to discover the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the ocean life. All of this was one. It used to be one. When it separated, different parts forgot about the other part, right? That's why men and women don't understand each other. All of this stuff used to be one, right? And that's why, another reason why homosexuality is wrong, right? Because you're not trying to connect back with your own gender. The other half would be the left side of the brain connecting with the right side of the brain, males and females in unison, in order. But I can't, man. I'm about to go into another topic about the female role in the falling of the great falling away and what that represents as far as the orgasm. And see, I know a lot of stuff about that, but I don't want to get too deep and I'll get off topic. But we began to quest. You ever heard like the quest for fire? Where do you think fire comes from? Fire comes from what? Fire comes from molecules. Molecules are what? Essentially, molecules are gases. Gases that burst out. What are they bursting out of? They bursting out of the bubble. A gas. And it turns into a flame. A fire is basically like something being born from the unseen world, and it manifests itself into the seen world, where you can feel it with your eyes. You can see it with your eyes, feel it and everything. But where did it come from? It came from the invisible. Fire is born. You see? It came from within. And that's where the quest for knowledge came from. We trying to figure out everything. The rabbit hole created itself. The rabbit hole, it goes into many different directions. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like agents of darkness. The rabbit hole, it created itself, you see, because we going in deep. The rabbit hole created itself, and it has different tunnels in it. Think about your body. It has different tunnels in it. Your veins go in all different directions. You got all these orifices in your body. All of these orifices, which are like holes, cavities, like your nasal passages. Then you got passages to release what you ate, like your intestines. Your intestines is basically a tunnel. Just how the rabbit tunnel was created after the separation, it created a separated being that represented itself just like the rabbit hole itself, with all these orifices in your body, like the eye gates, the ear gates. Your ear canal is like a tunnel. Your throat, your esophagus, all of it is like a black hole. You get what I'm saying? It's representative of like the black hole, the moving black holes in the universe. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, man, the rabbit hole goes deep. Very deep. And this rabbit hole, man, it all spawned from darkness. From darkness. From nothingness came everything. And that's the most oxymoronic statement that there is. But it's true. God is nothing. What? You said God is nothing? Well, that goes against the lexicon of the English language. I know. That's why you can't rely on words. You can't even tell the truth in words. I'm just giving you an example right now. When I say God is nothing, which everything came from something that you don't even understand because it was nothing. How can you say where everything came from when it all came from nothing? And everything that you are trying to answer, to find an answer for far as the origin of everything, you're not going to find it, because nothing came, everything came from nothing. And nothing was the time before words. You're not going to find an answer with words. You separate it, you limit it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to build. That car, those people that have walked by, they looking at me in a car over there, man. This stuff crazy, man. This stuff crazy. But how do we come from nothing, left side of the brain? You say, how do we come from nothing? Because God is complete silence. It doesn't need language. It doesn't have to explain itself. I like to say that we have always existed, because if something has the capacity of all knowing, it can never be a time or a moment when it didn't know itself. So therefore, everything that you see, touch, because it's a part of the all-knowing mind, it has always existed, because there can never be a moment where it doesn't know itself. You see what I'm saying? And when you keep thinking about it, it starts colliding within itself because you're using words. Somebody could even pick through what I'm saying and may find a contradiction. And that's fine. Because with the words we use, you're trying to make something out of something. That's not how the universe was created. It wasn't created by using something to create something. It was created through silence, all knowing, without communication, without words, and you're trying to define it by words and trying to simplify it through philosophizing about it. When you philosophize about this thing, you really think you're being complex about it, but you're really making it simple. That's why I started the video out by saying, don't try to figure it out. And when you try to figure it out, you'll never figure it out. Just try to stay free as much as you can from the organic portals and their agents, and don't sell out yourself. You know, don't operate as one who, you know, keeps the folds over the people's eyes. And if you want the answer and the truth about things, just go into silence. Start looking around at stuff and just communicating with the world around you through sight. Just look at stuff, look at buildings, look at trees, and that's your answer right there. Your answer is just looking at it, touching it, feeling it, traveling places. You ain't got to talk to a lot of people. Just be. Just be. That's what I'm saying. Running out of time. This is Left Side of the Brain. Hope you enjoyed it. Until we meet again, this is Left Side of the Brain signing out.